So does the system need to change because it's supposed to be, well, we have rights and we have the right to for, I don't know, to sue them, I guess, or to get justice. And we're not getting justice because in the end the cop moves on. This cop has a long history. We've already looked into his internal affairs reports and stuff, and he has a long history of abusing citizens. Even his own police people say that, and he's going on. And what's happening? Nothing's happening.
So there's different ways of what can we do about the system is a big question.
Correct.
My own take on what we can do about the system is let's start recognizing that there are serious crimes and important crimes that we want to stop. We want to prosecute. Burglary, property crimes, violent crimes where people are hurting other people, okay? Those are things we really want prosecuted, okay? And then we have other crimes that shouldn't be crimes, that shouldn't be in the system, that are clogging up the courts. Taylor's experience is a great example of it. Maybe the police officer should have intervened and said, "Excuse me, sir, would you mind moving?" and been polite and try to have a conversation. Maybe you could try to reach some kind of compromise.
Or maybe he should have just told the guys from Nike, no, he has the right to be here. I'm sorry.
No, that's absolutely
great.
That would have been great. But even if he's going to try to step in, rather than be aggressive and pushing Taylor around, if he said, "What kind of compromise can we work out here that makes everybody happy?" That might have been something he could have done that he didn't do.
Well, his defense in his first response to it was he kind of threw his hands up, like, "What do you want me to do about it?" But in turn, Nike hired him to do a job, so it's kind of like forcing his hand to act on it.
Well, there's an interesting question there too about, is he working for the city or is he working for Nike at that moment?
Well, look,
and that's a real problem.
Well, look, just today, the Broward New Times wrote the story about the Dirty Blondes incident. The bouncers who were beating up this guy, the two guys in Fort Lauderdale, they beat the hell out of him, and it was caught on camera, and it went viral. And these bouncers apparently have a long history of doing that. They hired these cops to work off duty as security.
Oh, they're off-duty cops working as bouncers.
Right. So the cops showed up and they arrested the two victims who were clearly beaten up. And
the guy showed him the video, right? There was a guy watching who showed him the video, and they changed it.
Well, the video came out, and then they dropped the charges, and they arrested one of the bouncers a week later. And now this expose that the New Times did, it shows there's a whole history of that. These cops are making up to $600 a week from the dirty bouncers, the dirty blondes, dirty bouncers, dirty blondes. And so is it, how constitutional is that when we have, because they're using tax-funded guns and uniforms and handcuffs to protect this private establishment, and they're not really doing a good job on it.
But I think that's a problem. That's getting into the. I think that there's a broader problem, and the broader problem is if we said, you know what, we're going to stop arresting people for marijuana, we're going to stop arresting people for for drug offenses where they don't hurt anybody but themselves, we're going to stop pulling over people for routine speeding tickets, so we could, because that's a lot of baloney. We're going to remove. Here's my point.
They're not going to stop that.
Here's my
make
point.
Some money.
Well, wait. Here's my point. Overall, we lose money on that system because you're paying cops for their time, you're paying judges for their time, you're paying court staff for their time, you're paying prosecutors, you're paying public, whatever. You're spending a lot of money on those things. The cost of operating that system is a lot more than it brings in revenue. But the point is, we walked into court today, and it was really busy going through there. It's a zoo getting into that building. Everything is clogged up. The parking lot's clogged up.
That courthouse is the same way.
And justice, I call it assembly line justice. Okay, and the word justice should be in quotes because it's not justice. It's an assembly line, and things get done wrong when you're on a, nobody's watching it closely. And if we said, you know what, let's decide here's the crimes that are important. I live in West Boca Raton, and people are nervous about home invasions and burglaries. Okay, and they're nervous about people breaking into their cars and stealing stuff out of their cars when they're at the county park. That just happened. It was an incident just happened. That's the kind of stuff that people are worried about. They're worried about getting attacked. Somebody confronting them and attacking them. That's the stuff we're worried about. They're worried about the Trayvon, whether you're on George Zimmerman's side or Trayvon Martin's side, you're worried about that violent encounter. And we want the full resources of the police and the prosecutors available to prosecute real crime. And the only way you can get there, because let's face it, government's broke, right? So the only way you're going to get there is government to stop doing something. And if you take something away, say we're going to stop doing X, or we're going to stop doing Y, or we're going to stop doing all these operations that don't really make us safer and don't really do what we need, you have more resources to focus on invest. You know, when there's a burglary, do they check the house for prints and then go run the prints in a database? No, they don't. They just write it off to an insurance company. They don't worry about it. No, we want the burglars caught because they're going to burglar another home. And when they burgle a home, sooner or later there's going to be somebody home. There's going to be a violent encounter. Somebody's going to get hurt. We want burglars caught. We really need to go after violent crime and stop violent crime. And if we focus in that way, number one, we will need fewer police officers. We will put them. Part of the problem is, I understand your sentiment, and I hear this from other people. There's this real sentiment that anger about how the cops treat people. Part of the problem is we're giving the cops too much to do. And if we narrow the focus of what we want police to do, it's the orders. They're following their orders whether we like it or not. Okay? And we gave them the orders. So we got to give them different orders. And if we give police different orders, we say, all right, you know what? You're going to stop bothering people with marijuana. You're going to stop harassing people in traffic. And you're going to focus on violent crime. And you're going to focus on property crime. And you're going to focus on when people are actually hurt, when there's a real victim. That narrows the scope of what police do, and we can get somewhere.
The topic on Taylor here, you know.
Sure.
Because a lot of people are getting arrested, you know, and I've learned, you know, I've been arrested 3 times, and I'm probably going to file a lawsuit for the 3rd time because it was caught on video. The first 2 times I couldn't because it wasn't caught on video, and even the first time I was beat up, and no, it wasn't caught on video. So, you know, where does that leave us? So we're happy, we celebrate, even though we spent hundreds of dollars, or maybe a couple of thousand on lawyers and court fees, and we didn't get convicted. Where does that leave us? So we're scared. Now we're scared of cops. We can't talk to cops. We can't take their picture. Most people won't. And is that victorious? The cops going on. They're getting paid.
So I guess I'll take another turn at your question about a federal law.
Yeah.
They vote more than we do. Police and their families and friends vote more vigorously. They're a stronger special interest than we are. So you're not going to get a federal law passed that makes it a crime for police to do X. Okay, I was a Republican candidate for town. I remember being at this town debate for a town. I think I was running for town board in my hometown of Guilderland up in New York, and I said, you know, we should tell the police to stop arresting people for marijuana. We should make it a policy in our town. Our police don't make marijuana arrests. I'm getting to a point. Yeah. I'm getting to a point, which is the response from the other candidates was, I support the police. I support the police. I support the police.
Yeah, I've seen it a lot.
You're going to need politicians who are willing to confront police officers and say no to the police. Mm-hmm. And they're not going to do it. Well, so that's a pipe dream to get there.
Well, no, see, we have to approach it more from the people that they have cops are recording us, and I'm fine with that. That we have the right to record them. We do have the right, but it needs to be established more firmly because it's not being respected.
But okay, this is one of my great experiences in life as a criminal defense attorney. Is no one cares until it's them or their family. The average person doesn't care about whether Carlos Miller gets arrested for filming police because they don't know you, and they don't understand why you're recording police, and they don't understand that police are doing something wrong until it's their kid. And the phone calls I get from clients or the parents of prospective clients, I don't understand why they're treating my son this way. I don't understand why are they being so mean to my daughter. And I'll say, well, let me ask you a question. Do you vote? Oh yeah, I vote. Have you ever heard a politician say we got to be tough on crime? Yeah. Do you vote for him? Yeah. Well, they're following your orders. But I didn't mean my kid. They don't know that. Yeah. And until people have it happen to someone that's close to them, to themselves or someone that's close to them, they don't care. And I will say this, it's happening enough, okay? The police have been arresting enough people, they've been harassing enough people, people are sick of checkpoints. People are sick of all the traffic tickets that they're getting. They write so many traffic tickets and you know, you're driving down the road, you're going 70 miles an hour, a cop blows by you going 85, he pulls into a U-turn, turns around, and it clocks you going 70, and pulls you over for speeding. When he sped in order to get there. Or I've been driving to court, and in New York it's illegal to talk on a cell phone. Yeah. And I'm driving to court, and I'm going 70 miles an hour, and a cop blows by me going 85, and I know the guy. And I see him talking on his cell phone while he's going 85 miles an hour. And a lot of people are fed up with that. But they don't see the photography issue yet.
I kind of disagree with you because I mean I've been covering this issue for 6 years, and I've seen Republicans, Democrats, Libertarians all come together with this one issue. So look, let's just wrap this up. And I want to get back to this Taylor thing. So he has no. I mean, I guess it's going to be very strong for him, very hard for him to file a suit.
I would encourage you. to contact a civil rights lawyer.
I reached out to one, and his words were what you said is that he's hesitant about taking the case because there was no damages involved.
Right. The damages are, it's not no damages, it's very limited
Correct.
damages. You have the embarrassment of, and the unpleasantness and the humiliation of spending 18 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Why was it that long?
That's a good the system is clogged again.
Because I honestly, I see a lot of catch and release, I call them catch and release cases. They arrest somebody at 10 o'clock and they release them at 4 o'clock. 10 a.m. and they release them at 4 p.m.
That's what it should have been.
They call them, and I struggle to understand why this wouldn't be a catch and release. Or why, honestly, I struggle to understand why they even bother arresting you. Why not just write you the ticket?
Well, contempt of cop.
Prove a point, pretty much.
Contempt
No,
of
do you
cop.
see what I'm saying? He could just write you the ticket. Okay, here's the ticket.
Yeah, but Warren, okay, so I do want to get back to this, the 1983 thing. So there were no damages, but the 1983 Act does not really talk about damage, it's talking about civil rights.
You can do it yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You can go to federal court. You can go on the web and you can probably download a form complaint and you can do it yourself. I think it's very difficult. I think it's a very frustrating process. I filed one 1983 lawsuit in my career. My client was arrested. It's a little bit of a long story, but he was arrested, accused of stealing from the store where he worked. Not only was there no proof he stole anything, there was no proof anything was missing. Okay? And the police officer arrested him. And what happened was, when the incident happened, he got fired. Mm-hmm. Even though he hadn't done anything wrong, but the store was just, they didn't have their paperwork. Maybe his paperwork wasn't in order. So they fired him. So he lived out of state. He moved back to his home state. He lived across the border in Massachusetts. And he eventually moved to Chicago. Well, 2 years later, they decide they're going to investigate this case. And they have nothing, but they tell the cops in Chicago to arrest this guy. And they hold him in Chicago for 30 days before he gets brought to New York, where I get him out on bail. And he goes back home to Chicago. But he spends 30 days in jail. Case gets dismissed by the grand jury. The grand jury says there's nothing, okay? And the case gets tossed. And we sue. And the problem is there's this concept called probable cause.
Yeah.
And I argued that there was no probable cause for arresting him. Because the only thing they had was, I think it was a document from the district office in Rochester. This is in Albany where this case happened. The document says, we think some money's missing and he was the manager. That's it.
Yeah.
That's what they have implicating him. That's not probable cause. And I sued that case and the judge said, yes, that's probable cause.
Cool.
What?
All right.
And I appealed it.
I think we're running out of time, so
Okay.
I hate to cut you off, but anyway, that's our segment, PINAC TV, and we're going to celebrate Taylor Hardy's dismissal. And thank you, Warren, for reaching out to us because
Thank you.
you really helped them out.
Thank you, Warren. Appreciate it.
So that's very cool that you did that. So I'm very appreciative of that.
I hope I can do it again.
Before we go, Warren, just your information, how can we reach out to you again if someone wants
Sure.
to hire you or whatnot?
Sure. My name is Warren Redlick. If you Google Warren Redlick, I'm the only one. My phone number is 888-RED-LAWYER, 888-733-5299. My website for general, fairness and drunk driving laws is fairdui.org. My law firm website in South Florida is duipb.com. If you Google my name, you'll find a bunch of stuff about me. Some of it might even be good.
You're like one of the few lawyers that has a Wikipedia page.
Because I was a candidate.
Right.
Because I was a candidate, yeah.
All right. Cool.
Thank you.
Thank you.